too early for that. See, it's too early for that.
You're right. And don't forget, this afternoon, I have the DA hearings, but what I decided to do, I'm gonna, no, that's where I do our hearings.
Okay,
You know, it's an office right here.
okay,
I want to do the Zoom hearing there, so if you need me,
okay,
people should just bring me the file.
very well.
And I think that would kind of help expedite stuff. As long as nobody like me, well, people's will.
Yeah. All right, so, let me see. I'm looking at here, did you ever get her file?
Was she scheduled?
She was scheduled for the July the 16th, she didn't show up.
I can see if I still have it up here.
I could be doing this signing stuff. This stuff is popping up. All right. Good morning, Ms. Gutierrez.
Hello, Judge. How are you?
Very well. What I will say is, well, let's do this. Let's call the case.
Okay.
Case. This is the City of Detroit versus Evelyn Gutierrez. Case numbers SP 1144037, counts 1 and counts 2, and SP 1144001. So good morning to you, ma'am.
Good morning, Judge.
What we have here is that you were supposed to be back here on the 16th of July. And I don't know what happened with that, but I did receive your copy of your certificate of completion. I did receive your copy of your insurance, and I did receive a copy of your driver's license, which I don't know is good or not. Is that driver's license a good driver's license, ma'am?
It is. So first off, can I clarify one quick point? A previous point you mentioned?
I don't know if it's necessary to do that. If you're talking about the July 16th date, I'm not too concerned about that date. But I'll let you speak if you need to.
Yes, I was on the July 16th. I was just going to mention I did log on to the Zoom on the 16th. That is actually the date you gave me the information to do the course. I did miss my first court hearing, which was on June. I had miswritten that into my calendar. So there was a missed court hearing, but it was my initial one from the June date, which I made up with my July hearing.
Okay.
And as far as my license, I just wanted to show you that I did have a valid license when I was pulled over. I just panicked that day and thought I had lost it because it wasn't with me that day. So I went right away to replace it, but it had just been misplaced. So that was the license valid when I was pulled over, but I do now have another license.
Okay. So, I mean, based on that representation, I'm in possession of your driver's license record here. At this point, your license is suspended, but I think you may know that already. And you represented that at the time you got this ticket on 12/10/2020, that you did have a valid driver's license. However, the license was, you just didn't have it on your person. So,
Correct.
based on what I've read here in your driving record, I will say that you are more than likely true. That is more than likely true. So, but we're really beyond that right now. I mean, that will help probably in the offer that's going to be available to you. But we're at the point now where we had a discussion back the last time you were in court, and we said, you know, the overriding thing was the 16 to 20 over, and we gave you an opportunity to take the Michigan Defensive Driving course, and we gave you an opportunity to come in, and what was said on that day was that the more substantive information you bring, the better the offer would be. We had a gentleman that came in today, and he took the course, and he was charged with 16 to 20 over like you were, and he brought some very, very, very substantive information to the court, and the prosecutor gave him a blocking traffic, a 0-point offense, and that's just like an expensive parking ticket. No abstraction, civil infraction. Once you pay it, it never happened. So I say all that to say that you have a very, very high bar to overcome in order for your offer to be similar to his. So if you're ready, I'm going to turn the floor over to you, and you can start that discussion on what you learned. And we may have, I myself or Mr. Goss, the city attorney, may have some questions for you. I want you to keep in mind that you have Mr. Paul Faulkner on the line as well. He's the House Counsel. And if you have any questions related to any of the legal things that are going on today, then that's the person that you would discuss that with, okay?
Okay, and just to make sure I understand, so currently you're looking for information regarding the course I was taking that you recommended as far as explaining my case to you, correct?
Well, we're looking for information on the course, and it does not necessarily related to the offense here, but just related to the whole course in general. Everything, the most substantive information that you can bring about the whole course in general. And I'm sure that course touched on speeding as well.
Definitely.
Right. So
for me, I think the biggest thing I learned from the course is that, first off, I was able to apply it to the situation that I was in. When I was pulled over in December, I had just begun shift shopping because I was looking for supplemental income during the pandemic. And the biggest thing during that section on speeding was having distractors. So it really made me stop and reflect on the situation that even though I decided to add a new source of income, that this is something I had to be very careful about. Besides just trying to provide the best service, I'm on the road more. So I need to be aware of what I'm doing when I am on the road. So that really reflected on how I should be moving forward when I do take on shops through Shipt and through Instacart. So being aware of that I need to be not just aware of my orders, but my surroundings. So not being confident that the speed limit that I assume is the correct speed limit. So I had assumed the speed limit was 40. Through the course, I was able to learn that typically in business areas, which would have been where I was stopped, it was lower than that. So that really helped me in that sense in regards to that ticket. But beyond that, I think it was also really eye-opening to see statistics as far as how many times drivers are typically breaking laws before they're actually pulled over. So being aware of all those situations, from speed limits to areas that we're driving in to other signs, especially here in Michigan, where we have a lot of construction areas. So being aware of what those means as a driver, especially as a driver that's on the road more often.
all right, that is now I haven't had the opportunity to take the course myself, but almost through the people that have come through the course, we've heard a lot of other things about the course. Can you enlighten us on some more that you got out of the course that you didn't already know? And I see that you mentioned that the distractors, maybe you didn't think about that as far as speeding. And I understand that you probably didn't know the statistics on how many times people speed before they get caught. Those are things you probably didn't know. But let's go further in depth than that. I'm sure you got a lot more out of it than that. And we've heard today about how the conditions affect the road and the speed limit at the time. We've heard a lot about the different traffic signs that were out there that a lot of people didn't know. So let's get some more substantive information so you can provide the people that may be watching on YouTube, the court, and the city attorney and everybody online now. Let's get some more substantive information.
Definitely. I also have the privilege of being able to say I've never been in a car accident, but I think also getting more details on what to do in the sense of a car accident. So for example, I would have assumed if I was rear-ended that I would want to be stepping on the brake, but they actually recommended not to be stepping on the brake so that you have less injury to your neck. So seeing the various recommendations for being rear-ended, side-ended, as well as a head-on collision, and seeing the recommendations for each scenario was very helpful. I have my primary position is also working in the physical therapy office, so I've seen side effects of patients who have been in a car accident. So being able to see those recommendations on what to do is very important, and found that very useful. As well, other things I really learned from the course was more details on driving conditions and the weather. So I think as Michiganders, we're very aware of black ice, but beyond that, we tend to forget that we've been getting a lot of rain lately. So knowing that the first 15 minutes of driving in the rain is the worst. And I would have assumed it's the opposite, that it's once there's a lot of rain on the road, more puddles, but it's not. It's the first 15 minutes that are the most dangerous. As well, another item that really made me think about it is that I'm driving during the day when there's potentially mothers on the road, and I would assume they're the ones that are driving the most safely. But children was also one of the biggest distractors listed as in the course for distractions while driving. And I think too, being younger, I really appreciated seeing the recommendations for road rage. We tend to see it more and more often and see crazy situations, and we think like it's something that doesn't happen as often, but knowing that it actually happens and what you can do as a secondary driver if there is somebody you see like tailgating you who's signaling you to move over or is in a rush, that it's better to take the high road and just let them by and be cautious. Other information that was a good review for me was, even though it's been a few years since I took my initial test, it was really helpful to review all the information on signs for traffic. So we're really common with like stop signs and often forget what other signs mean. So going through those was really helpful, and I was able actually to write those down and integrate them better so I understand them. I tend to deliver in like Royal Oak, so we do have railroads. So being aware of what to do in those situations.
Let me ask you this. I don't mean to cut you off, but let me ask you this.
Sure.
The gentleman that was on earlier today mentioned the same thing about the rain, and the first 15 minutes is the worst. Did they give you an explanation on why they said the road conditions are worse when it's first 15 minutes? And if they did, guide us that information? Definitely.
And it definitely made sense because with the first 15 minutes, you have water and oil mixing, but you don't have enough water to wash away that oil and like residue on the road. So that's why it was the most dangerous. So it's not necessarily just the water that causes hydroplaning, but in this case, it's the water and the oil that are like mixing together that would cause the slippery roads that make it dangerous in the first 15 minutes.
Well, and that explains it. That informs me. I learned now my own self something more that I didn't know this morning when I got up, and I appreciate that. But Mrs. Gutierrez, let's say this. I want to know. I see that you've taken the course seriously, and we certainly appreciate that. That the overriding thing is that you learn something, and for selfish reasons, you can amend this ticket so you don't have to eat that 4 points on your driving record. And I see that you're a young driver, but do you think this course is going to make you a better driver now, ma'am?
I think it does in the sense that I'm stopping to be more aware of situations, and we're like, okay, yeah, I know driving is dangerous and I gotta be cautious, but I think when you stop and have to take the moment to review information, you realize how many things you just take for granted or become second nature. And that's something else that was mentioned in the course, that it tends to be more dangerous when you get used to it. Like you get used to being on a certain route, you get really not distracted, but you zone out since you're so used to your route. So I think that moment to call back and remember that driving really is a privilege and not just a right, that we have to be more aware when we're driving.
Yeah, and I'll say this, that I myself, what I've noticed over the years is that I've been to a lot of different cities, and Detroit has always been that big city that and this relates to the fact that the road rage that you spoke about earlier, Detroit, in my eyes, has always been the city that our drivers are more considerate on the road, and we do let people over when they signal for the most part. But here lately, you kind of see that diminishing as well. But when you go to other big cities, it's absolutely no letting you over. They're doing, and what kind of disturbs me is that you have a person that may be coming into a situation where they have to get over, and you'll see that car behind them or that's next to them try and speed up just so that person can't get in front of them. And it's really like that's really disturbing to me in that. And then on another note, we're talking about accidents. If accidents happen and everybody realizes that, and sometimes you can do all of this stuff that you've learned in the course and be an excellent driver, and still the accident will happen and you get hit. But do you think that this course will better serve people in those situations to try to prevent the accident? Do you think that this was worth the time that you spend in doing it, regardless of the points that you may avoid? Do you think that this was worth just doing as a refresher to your driving?
I think so, because as well, touching on that note of accidents, sometimes, so I am the second child of 4, and my youngest brother is just starting driver's ed. Something he's pointed out is that he gets more nervous because he doesn't know what to do in certain situations. So this course also helps you be prepared. I mean, you can never prepare for an accident, but knowing what steps you should take if something were to happen is very useful, because you're less likely to panic. I think of the freeway I use, which is 75, right by the bridge, there's always a lot of trucks. So not panicking in those situations is very important to me, because I feel like those risks are higher when we are surrounded by a lot of big trucks. So being aware of what to do in those situations is very helpful.
And I'll say about the trucks, I'll say about the trucks though, typically the truck drivers are the better drivers. because they know they've had more training than everybody. They know the dangers, and they're operating, and I'm gonna say this about all the trucks, but for the most part, typically the trucks are more aware, and they're under a lot stricter requirements in their driving and the amount of hours they can drive and things like that. But with all that being said, we're having this discussion, and we're ready to the point where we're satisfied with the information that you brought. And my city attorney walked out of the court, so we're gonna have to wait until he comes back until we can reconvene and get you an offer that you can live. Well, maybe I'm in the position to do that myself. Mr. Faulkner, do you have anything to say, sir?
Well, just that she completed it, and she should be given some kind of consideration for what she's done. She did the main thing.
Yeah, and I think really she did over and above what you were asked to do, ma'am. I think that I think by the nature of the discussion that you had, you took the course seriously. You did provide the court with all of that information that was asked. Your license,
I was impressed.
Yeah, I was very impressed, and your license was valid at the time. Based on that, and based on what the offer was earlier for the other gentleman, the court is gonna offer you a blocking traffic, $175 fine with stipulation of probable cause. We're gonna dismiss the other two matters. So essentially, that blocking traffic ticket, man, is just gonna be a very expensive parking ticket. I will say this to you, as I said to the other gentleman, that you're getting a gift here today, ma'am. That the 4-point offense, you're driving 16. You know, you're not the one that's on the road. You're not the only one that is possibly in a hurry to get to some place. And some people are on the road with more serious things that may be on the road for that they really need to get to. And then we also have pedestrians out there on the street. I don't know if you have any kids. You're pretty young, but you probably have, like you said, you got a little brother. You probably have nieces and nephews and things like that, or just friends that have kids. And what I try to do every day when I get up is I try to put myself in other people's shoes. And you know, you could be speeding and you can get the 16 or 20 over, and if you have to deal with all the points that go along with that, eventually you will get over that and you'll get behind it. But if you hit a young child doing the 16 to 20 over and it was in some way preventable, that's something that would be something that would be difficult, and it would live with you for the rest of your life, I'm sure. So that's why we take the speeding matters particularly serious in that regard. And that's why the city attorney, and I agree with them, that we ask that you take this course. So based on that, ma'am, and based on what I said in the record about the offer, ma'am, I'm going to leave it up to you on what you want to do moving forward. You have a right to take the offer, and we can do that. You also have a right to speak with Mr. Faulkner. We can do that. In all ways, you keep in mind that you have a right to a trial if you want to defend yourself in these matters.
In regards to the offer, once I accept the offer, would I be able to move forward with being able to have driving privileges again? I did just receive that letter.
Yeah, well, let's say this. For the record, we stated while you were out, we were just before you left, we were prepared to let you have the floor, but you walked out. But Mr. Goss is back, and what I did was I availed Mrs. Gutierrez the same offer that we availed Mr. Groggins with when he brought the situation, which was a blocking traffic. She did provide insurance. She did provide a driver's license, albeit it is suspended now, but this is the case that seems like it's suspended her license. And she did bring, how you doing, Officer Bradford? She did bring, I feel, substantive information to the court. And I'll allow you to put your appearance on the record, and I'll allow you to speak on that behalf. Well, we got the court report.
Dante goes on behalf of the city, so you don't have no objection to that. That was actually the offer I was going to make. I heard most of her statement, and I do believe that she took that seriously. She did retain substantial information for that class, and I think this would actually give her opportunity to be a better driver, and most likely she probably won't see.
All right, and I'll say this, ma'am, just like I told Mr. Groggins, you're getting a gift today, ma'am. But if you come in here again with that sort of offense, then whatever the city attorney even comes and offers you, I'm not gonna accept that offer. You're only gonna have 2 ways to resolve it, and that'll be to lead straight up to the crime or to take the thing to trial and do your best there. So with that being said, you asked about your driving and your being able to get your driving privileges back. What I can say about that, ma'am, if you take this offer, you pay the $175, then you will, well, I think you're gonna have some reinstatement fees. So what this court is only concerned about is the $175. You may have 2 reinstatement fees of $45 a piece. Those reinstatement fees are gonna be there until you pay them. That's an extra $90. But what our agreement only has to deal with the $175. But I will say, if you don't pay the reinstatement fees, that's because, well, you know what I'm going to do for you, ma'am? I don't know why the default judgments were entered into. I can only assume
She missed the first court date.
that you missed the first court date, and I know that, but I don't know why you missed the first court date. And I'm not even going to get into that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to waive both of the reinstatement fees, and I'm just going to charge you the $175. So you'll have clearances here at 36th District Court. It doesn't appear that you have anything else outstanding in any other jurisdictions. So with that, you should be able to approach the Secretary of State and get a valid driver's license. It doesn't automatically reinstate your license. I don't know. But you'll have that clearances in order to do so. So at this time, ma'am, are you willing to take that offer?
Yes, Your Honor, I accept the offer.
All right. Can you raise your right hand, Mrs. Gutierrez? Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I swear yes.
Okay. You can put your hand down, ma'am. Ma'am, you understand you have a right to a trial in these matters?
I do.
You understand by taking this offer, you're going to give that trial right up?
Yes, I do.
And has anybody offered you anything other than what I stated in the record?
No.
Okay, Mrs. Gutierrez, I'm going to draw your attention to December 10th, 2020 at around 9:27 a.m. in the city of Detroit, in the area of Gratiot Avenue and Jane Street, ma'am. On that day, were you pulled over by a Detroit police officer?
Yes, I was.
And you were pulled over for speeding on that day, is that correct, ma'am?
That is correct.
And you were pulled over for speeding because, in fact, you were speeding on that day, is that correct, ma'am?
That is correct.
Are you satisfied, Counselor?
Satisfied, Your Honor.
All right, the court is satisfied that accurate factual basis has been made. I will accept your plea to the amended count of blocking traffic, ma'am, and in that I will fine you $175. I said I would waive any reinstatement fees, ma'am, on these matters. And when can you pay, ma'am?
I can be driven to the Secretary of State today.
No, you would pay here at the court $175, or you can pay online or at any DIV-DAV kiosk in the city of Detroit. So you would pay that $175 to the court. So when can you get that paid?
I have the app to pay Detroit payment, so I can make that payment today from home.
Okay,
I'd ask you for a week, Your Honor, just in case.
all right. I'll put on there, August 12th, 2021, that you'll pay that $175. I'll waive any warrant fees and I waive the reinstatement fee. And with stipulation of probable cause, Counselor, I'll dismiss the other matter.
So stipulate.
Okay. All right. Mrs. Gutierrez, we definitely appreciate you bringing that information and here today, resolving the matters. I think that, again, you taught me something today, so I'm grateful for that. And I hope that you got a lot out of it as well.
I am, and I'm really grateful, Your Honor, that you took the time to hear my case and let me explain the situation and provide a different solution in this case. I really appreciate that.
Very well. If there's nothing further, Mrs. Gutierrez, then you are free to leave. Have a great day, ma'am. Be safe.
Thank you, Your Honor. You as well.
All right.
Goodbye.
Bye. All right. That's it.
That's it? Okay, Judge. Pleasure as usual.
All right, it's all pleasure's all mine. We will conclude the matter and we will be back at least without you, Mr. Faulkner, in the afternoon.
Yeah, I don't do afternoons.
Okay.
Okay, Judge. Bye.
Hey, bye.
Thank you, Aaron. See you back in the afternoon.
Okay, see you back after.